Hello and welcome to my Hygge Crow. My name is Christina. I use she, her pronouns, and I am coming to you from Sacramento, California. So today I am going to be sharing my March knitting update, and there's a lot. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna jump in because my knitting motivation in March just absolutely took off. I have 4 finished objects to show you, 5 works in progress, and some yarn acquisitions. So yeah, I'm just gonna jump in with my finished objects because I don't know how long this video is gonna be. So I will start out with this finished Christmas stocking. Yes, it is March. This was part of my winter knitting plans, and if you've been here before, you might know that I completely lost my knitting motivation in winter because I was in my first trimester of pregnancy, and I don't know what happened, but I didn't want to knit anything. So I started this and got like past the cuff, and then I just stopped. But thank you to the person who on my last updates video, I think my February updates, or yeah, said in the comments that if I had the time, I should go ahead and finish the stocking because it was cute. Thank you for seeing me and for that accountability. That you are the reason why I finished this Christmas stocking instead of like pushing it off till next year. But it is the Top Down Christmas Stocking by Faye Kennington. I believe on Instagram they're Yuki Knits, UKEE. And I knit it in Plutelope, Astex Plutelope. Colors are ivory, light beige, and burgundy, I think is the red. But yeah, it's all on my projects page on Ravelry, as well as all of the information about my whips and my my finished objects. So yeah, find me at Hygge Crow Knits on Instagram and on Ravelry. So I chose the train motif because Elliot is super into trains. Elliot's my 2-year-old daughter, and I really hope she's into trains next year because she didn't have this stocking this year. The upper and lower cuff color work on this is actually, as well as the foot and leg of the stocking, I actually took motifs from the Winter Doodle scarf by Pacific Knit Co. And I just subbed those in for the ones offered in the pattern. The pattern, the Top Down Christmas stockings, has a ton of really cool motifs. I didn't need to sub in, but I did anyways. So I don't know why, but maybe I'm not a Plutelope unspun yarn fan, but knitting this was it was a slog for me. I was so ready to be done with it. It was much better on in the places where there's no color work, so just the heel and the toe, than it was when I was doing the color work. But yeah, something about the color work, and I had some pretty long floats. It wasn't super enjoyable, but I love the finished product. I think it looks really cool. On camera especially, this plaid shows up really nicely. In person, it's a little less contrasty, but I think it looks really, really cool when I see it on camera and in pictures. I'm not sure what more to say about this. I have been meaning to say the cost of my projects, like when I finish a project, to just let you know what, like how much it cost me for the materials. For this stocking, I bought yarn to knit family stockings. I think I bought the yarn before my daughter was born, so it was really just gonna be for my husband and I, with the thought that we might, you know, have kids and need more stockings in the future. So I will have enough to knit 4 stockings, definitely, in the same yarn. And I've already knit my husband's, but for all of the yarn, the cost was $45. Plutelopi's pretty affordable. It's not like crazy. But I do really love how the Plutelopi makes this pattern look very like rustic and natural. Because if you look just at the photos of the pattern, like the pattern sample photos, they're done in not an unspun yarn, not really a super natural, I think it's a Knit Picks, maybe Wool of the Andes or something, but they're done in really bright colors and they're fun and they look really cool, but this is definitely more my aesthetic, the like rustic, yeah, like rustic vibes. I keep forgetting to show the back. The back has a slightly different motif for the trains in the front. So you can see it's like the train goes all the way around the cuff, but you're only ever gonna see this part, so you know, whatever. It was really fun to do the train motif, just to see it come together. But then after that, it was like, oh gosh, this is a big sock. But yes, that is my finished top-down stocking. I did it. I did use the needles called for in the pattern. I'm not remembering the size of them. But I talked about this in my last update. I had knit my husband's on a size bigger. So unfortunately, Elliot's stocking is slightly smaller than his, but you know, I wasn't gonna do it again. So that is the stocking. My next finished object was this hat. This is the Jason's Cashmere hat by Melissa Thompson. And it is a free pattern if you access the pattern on her blog. There's like a paid for version you can get in Ravelry, and then on her blog there's a like free one. It's the same pattern. And I knit it in Woolfolk Får in the color mink. So I guess we'll just put this on and ruin my hair, and then I can blame the hat for my hair looking weird for the rest of the video. But I do really like it. This is my third Jason's Cashmere hat that I have knit in Woolfolk yarn. I just like happened to buy Woolfolk the first time I was knitting this hat and fell in love with the combination. It's not cashmere, but it's soft. It might as well be. It's so soft. And yeah, it's a great hat pattern. The cables just look really classic and it's not hard. I did mess up and I cast on and knit 1x1 rib without thinking, but the pattern calls for 2x2 rib, which in my last video, I think I mentioned this, but I was like, oh, it doesn't matter because it's a folded brim and whatever. But if you do the 2x2 rib, it feeds like the knits directly into the cables, as well as this stockinette like cable divider, I guess I would call it. So I am kind of disappointed that I didn't notice that I did that, but I mean, it doesn't really matter because you always wear it with the brim folded, so you don't notice that it doesn't like feed right into the thing. So I knit this, I finished it. The ribbing took me a long time, and then once I got to the cable part, it was like addicting, and I finished it, I think, in 2 days. And so you need 2 skeins of Woolfolk Får to knit this hat, but at the end you have like most of a skein left over. Like I would say maybe use like less than 20 grams of 100, or are these 50 gram skeins? Anyways, there's like, you're using about like 20% of the second skein. And the remaining amount is the perfect amount of yarn to knit a baby or a kid's hat. And so I was like, I really do need to knit for this new baby to like make it feel real. And so I knit a matching Jason's cashmere hat. And I just modified, I like kind of looked up another hat that I've knit before, a baby hat I've knit before, for reference on like gauge and how many stitches I should cast on. And this is a pretty long pattern repeat. I think it's like 6, yeah, it's a 10 stitch repeat. And so I just cast on, I thought I cast on 60 stitches. Maybe it's a 12 stitch repeat. Yeah, that sounds more right. And yeah, I just cast on for 5 repeats of the pattern. Even after realizing I did the ribbing wrong on my hat, I did the ribbing wrong again on the baby hat. And I also decided again not to fix it. But now the hats are truly matching. So there is that. But what I decided to do is knit I knit the cable part. Like it's a pretty long hat. And the reason for that is, and it looks small, but this pattern has a lot of stretch to it. And I figured that when the baby is like really small, you know, I can fold up the brim quite a bit, and then as they grow, I'll inch it down, and then it'll like expand out like that. So I'm hoping this hat will actually be practical for all of this like next fall and winter, but time will tell. But yes, so I knit 2 Jason's cashmere hats, 1 adult, 1 baby. And I think I have all the stitch counts and stuff in my Ravelry, so they're there if you're interested in making a baby version. Cool. My 4th and last finished object for the month is my Frank shawl. Everyone's been laughing because my dad's name is Frank, and so they keep asking if I'm gonna give it to him. I'm not. It's for me. But this is a pattern by Hoey Locatelli, and I knit it using 4 skeins of Thought to Thread sock yarn. The colors, the darkest gray is Seattle gray, the middle gray is ash gray, the like whitish gray is called Novel Pages, and the pinky red is called Amaranthus. So it's a super interesting construction. You knit 2 of these triangles. You start here and you knit the triangle increasing, and then you do the same for the triangle on the other side. You start small and increase it, and then you join the 2 triangles together and decrease down. And yeah, you do a certain number of garter rows with the increases, and then you do eyelet rows in the contrast color. The shape is also super interesting. I feel like it looks like almost like butterfly wings, but it's really nice to wear because it drapes, and there's like a little place for your arms to clearly go in these little corners where you started knitting. And yeah, I'm really loving the result. While I was working with this yarn, and when I finished up knitting it and like put it on, I was a little worried because it felt kind of scratchy on my neck specifically. Everywhere else was fine, but I was like thinking, okay, I might do a soak it in conditioner or something like that to soften it up. But after I blocked it, the yarn, like, it looked pretty good unblocked. It looks better blocked, of course, but after blocking, the yarn texture became incredible. It still feels, it's not a super soft sock yarn. I'm talking about it, but I don't think, I'm pretty sure that Thought to Thread retired this sock yarn. This one is the one that has wool, nylon, and mohair in it, and I do believe that the dyer retired this base for sock yarn, which is too bad because I really like it. I still have a lot left, so I'll be able to still make socks from it, but yeah, I'm really enjoying this knit. I'm hoping that I'll wear it a lot. I don't have a ton of this pinky red in my wardrobe, but I wear quite a few neutrals, so yeah, I think this will be a good one. Of course, it's like already 80 degrees here, so yeah, it'll be good for nights for a little while, and then I'll break it out next fall. And then, of course, after my first project, I forgot to say the price of any of the things. This shawl actually only cost me, I think, $16.50 because I only bought 2 skeins of the sock yarn, and it was on sale. So I bought this white or cream and a brown to make a specific pair of colorwork socks that I wanted to make. And the dyer with my order included 3 more skeins, which are both of the grays and this like amaranthus color, which was it was so cool to just like receive 3 skeins of yarn. I'm almost positive it's not because I'm like a podcast or anything. This was a couple years ago, and I don't see any way that he would have known. But yeah, I think it was just like a really kind thing. And so then, of course, I spiraled and I didn't knit anything right away because I was like, I have to find the perfect project for these yarns. And then I did. I found this perfect project and I love it. But yeah, so the total cost of this project to me was $16.50. Multiply that by 4 if you were to have bought all 4 skeins at the sale price. I'm forgetting what the like regular price was. So Frank shawl, and then the cost of my, I bought the Woolfolk Får for this on sale at my local yarn shop, which is Rumpelstiltskin, and I'm pretty sure I got it for, oh, I have it right up right here. I got it for $28 total, which is really good for 2 skeins of Woolfolk. Usually one skein is $22, so it was quite a steep discount. Yeah, so that is all of my finished objects, finished projects. Oh, I forgot to mention modifications on this. I was worried about running out of my contrast color because I'm generally a loose knitter, and so I went down a needle size, and I did not need to do that. I have plenty of the contrast color left, and I think the shawl, I haven't measured it, I should really measure it, but I think the shawl, to my eye, it looks significantly smaller than the sample in the pattern photos. So just in case you're thinking about knitting this, do a gauge swatch. Don't be like me. Do a gauge swatch. But that is the only modification I made, other than just like when I was knitting, I don't know why, but I could never get the decreases or the increases completely right, and I didn't want to have to count my stitches after every row. So what I would do is like knit a section or 2, and then I would count my stitches and kind of like fudge in some increases and decreases, and it totally worked. Like, you can't tell any areas where I did like a decrease or an increase where it wouldn't have normally gone. So yeah, okay. Now that should be all for my finished objects. I will start with my works in progress. So I recently put out a spring knitting plans video, and have like already deviated so far. I am knitting some of the projects, but there are others that I know that I will not knit, and I am adding other ones in. So one of the ones I've added in is the Brume sweater, B-R-U-M-E, by Andrea Mowry, and I'm knitting this because I totally forgot about the DRK March to May knit along, which I participated in last year and ended up with like one of my favorite knit garments or knit objects, which is the night shift shawl I essentially use as a blanket at my desk. But I had a couple sweaters, Andrea Mowry sweaters, that were like on my queue, and I knew I wanted to knit, or in my favorites, and one of them is the Brume sweater. Last year I had received a gift card from Farmer's Daughter Fibers for participating in the sock squad. I like won the monthly submission of project like giveaway thing, and so I had $75 burning a hole in my pocket to spend at Farmer's Daughter Fibers, and I really love the look of the Brume sweater. So since the last time I like did my update or my spring knitting plans videos, which I don't even think was a month ago, I ordered the yarn and cast the sweater on for the Cal. But it is knit in Farmer's Daughter Fibers Odang DK, and the color I chose is Dumplin', which looks like this. I mentioned in my dream sweaters video that I was hoping for a little bit like brighter of a color, which would suit me better, but I still really like the color, and the yarn is incredible. So I know that this will still be a sweater that I reach for a lot, even though the color isn't like the perfect color on me. But yeah, it's hard buying yarn online. I always wish I could see it in person before I buy it, but that is not always possible. But it's a really, it's like kind of like it's a folded collar, which you do knit down 1 by 1 rib, and then it goes into really simple raglan increases, and then the rest of the sweater is also really simple construction. So yeah, this is my new like meeting work knitting, and I am enjoying it. The yarn is so soft. I wish you could feel it. But yeah, I need to like kind of get some more progress on this if I'm gonna finish by the end of May. But I think I can do it. It's so simple. So much stockinette in just like lovely yarn. So I'm gonna finish for sure. Definitely gonna happen. So the next whip I have is one from my spring knitting plants. I'm doing it. I'm knitting some of them. And it is, I'll show you the picture of it first. It is the 4/4. I think I've been calling it the 4/4 wrap, but I think it might just be called 4/4. I think it is. Yeah, 4/4. And this is by Julie Robinson and originally designed for Pom Pom, although it is now available as like a standalone pattern on Ravelry. The yarn called for in the pattern is a Langlino, which is a linen yarn and like a chainette ribbon construction. And I'm going completely off book and I am knitting it in Friends cotton, the cotton 8/8, which is like a light worsted DK size. And I have started it, and this is what I've got so far. So you cast on here at the bottom, you knit one like full side of the tee flat, and then you knit the other full side of the tee flat. You sew the underarms and the middle and the back together. And then after all of that's done, you pick up along this bottom edge and make really long ties on both sides. Like these ties are, I've got to show you because it's, I didn't realize when I was, okay, I'm not sure, here, don't look at the pattern. It's the picture here, you can see the ties go all the way to the bottom. I'm realizing I'm just showing you the pattern in the middle of the thing. It's not going to be helpful for you. So yeah, I am really liking how the hobby cotton is working up. It isn't super hurting my hands. That might also be because I'm using metal needles. But what I really love is the stitch definition on this. I think it just looks like nice and plump. And I'm very excited to have a top that I can just throw in the washing machine. But I am knitting so the T part will be in Arctic blue and oat milk. So those will be the T colors, and then the ties will be in baby pink and cappuccino. So I cast this on to participate in the Unlikely Pairs Cal that Bethany from Well Loved Knits is running right now. It runs through the 7th of April, so not a lot of time left, but you just have to cast on. You don't have to finish any projects. So I'm feeling motivated to cast on projects that fit the theme, which is to like mix colors together, different fibers of yarn together, or different weights of yarn together. So I have this one and another project, that fit that. And then I really want to cast on another project with the yarn acquisition I have. So there'll be a lot of talk of the unlikely pairs cal in this episode. But I'm just really liking these combination of colors. They're really suited for my spring knitting mood board. And yeah, I'm happy so far. The knitting of this has been very interesting, and it's not a mindless knit because like you knit a row or two and then like you're doing something new. I think once I get to the ties and like get past like the initial shaping of the ties, that part will be kind of smooth going. But this is definitely like a sit and concentrate on what I'm doing knit, because it is, I just like have to track. I have to like mark off on the pattern, like, okay, I did that. And I'm counting stitches, and yeah, it's involved. Okay, so that is my 4/4 tee. And I'm knitting it because I think it'll be a really cute maternity top for this spring and summer. What to show you next? I guess I will show you the third garment I have on the needles. Who am I? What am I doing? Oh, I should show this. I have this cute project bag for it because it fits well. But the project bag is from the Wine Country Yarn Hop, which I was conveniently in Sonoma, Napa area the like weekend this was happening, so I popped into a couple yarn stores and I got this cute bag. Okay, so my next work in progress, and this is something that a team of knitters, like Sacramento knitters, crocheters, makers, etc. I signed us up to participate in the March Makers Madness Challenge, which is hosted by Bethany of Woolberry Fiber. It's very funny that there's two Bethany's in like knit along challenge things that I'm doing right now. But so we're participating. It's a team of 5. And Bethany was so sweet. She let me sign up late. I like found out about it on the day that the first challenge started, and I was like, I want to do this. And I was like putting together my team, and but yeah, we have been having a ton of fun. It was like I instantly knew I wanted to do it when I saw the challenge. But it has ended up being like way more fun than I expected. So if she does that again next year, I highly recommend jumping on board. If you weren't able to like put a team together from people that you knew, they would like pair you up with other people. You just had to submit a form saying you needed other like team members. So anyways, the first challenge for week 1 was for your team to knit 2,000 yards of yarn as a team. And we were a little worried about hitting that 2,000 mark. We ended up going over. We did like 2,700 and some change as our like full team of 5. But I cast on this sweater, which is the Waffle sweater by Knitting for Olive, or Pernille Larson is the person who writes the patterns, because it holds 3 lace weight yarns together. I was like, what is the way I can use the most yardage possible in a project? And it's definitely by marling yarns together. I had knit a swatch for this in the fall and almost cast it on for that knit along that Brooke Willow was hosting. I forget what it was called, but it was about like knitting from books you have. And I do have the Knitting for Olive book. And so I was like, I really want to knit this sweater. and then ended up focusing on my ongoing knits, which was a good call. But this is the waffle sweater. Oh yeah, here's a good picture. It's just a really light, airy knit. It's calls for 3 strands of knitting for olive soft silk mohair together, which would be a small fortune. But at a yarn auction that I went to in the summer, but I talk about pretty regularly, because I got a ton of yarn from it, picked up like nearly 2 skeins of this. It's Stunning String Studio Lavish Lace in the color Violet Dust. So I have like close to 2,000, I want to say it's like 1,700 or 1,900 yards of this yarn. And I knew I didn't want to knit it single stranded because it's lace weight and just no. So I realized that I could hold 2 strands of this together. I had this cream mohair in my stash. This is Knitting for Olive, soft silk mohair that my brother got me for Christmas 2 years back. And I realized that if I held 2 strands of this and 1 strand of this, I would have enough yardage to knit the full sweater. At least I think I have enough yardage to knit the full sweater. As I'm knitting up, I'm already second guessing myself, but I think I have enough. It feels so light that I'm like, this can't possibly be a sweater's quantity. But essentially it's actually really similar to the Brume like sweater construction, with the folded neckline in 1x1 rib. It's a much more like crew neck rather than like a funnel neck. But yeah, it's just funny. I was knitting 2 yokes at the same time, and they're both like fold over neck and then raglan increasing. Obviously this is lace, so that adds a whole nother challenge. The lace pattern is not complicated. If you're like interested in this sweater but like new to lace or worried about lace, it is a quite simple lace pattern. There's really only, like in the pattern repeat, it's only these 2 stitches that are here that have like quote unquote lace, meaning like there's yarn overs and knitting together and stuff. So I found it to be like simple lace as well as really forgiving lace if you do make mistakes, which I've already made several mistakes, and I've for all of them been able to like either fix it pretty easily or like without having to rip back any, just like ladder back a row or 2 to fix it, or like it's not noticeable enough to warrant trying to go back to fix. So if you're looking for a lace pattern, like to dip your toes into lace, this would be a really good one. It looks tiny right now, but I have a gauge swatch that like really so yeah, here I'll show you the difference between my blocked swatch and my knitting. It opens up so much. So yeah, I'm not concerned that it'll be too small because I know it's gonna just like really bloom and open up. My gauge was off for the pattern, so I should, if I was on gauge, I would have knit the size 3, but I'm a little under, so I'm knitting the size 4. Yeah. What else should I say about this? Definitely knit a swatch, especially if you're new to lace, just to practice, like regardless of gauge, just to practice the lace in like low stakes environment, because when you're starting out knitting the lace, it's immediately with short rows. So you're knitting front and back, which, or like right side and wrong side, which you don't do at any other point in the pattern. So yeah, I recommend knitting a swatch. I unfortunately knit my swatch many months ago and forgot like what the rhythm of the lace pattern was. So doing the short row shaping and the, like initially getting the hang of the raglan increases, I was just like, brain breaking, need to focus. So yeah, I highly recommend knitting your swatch and knitting it right before you cast on the sweater and not like months and months before. I'm not sure how much I'm gonna actively work on this in the next couple months, just because I'm, you know, having these March Maker Madness challenges. There will be the one this week and one next week, so that's like kind of my first priority. And then I'm also doing my Brume for the DRK March to Maycal. So, but this is here if I want to pick it up. It's lovely, it's soft, beautiful, and I'm very excited because I have wanted to cast this on. It just hasn't necessarily like fit into any of my like seasonal knitting plans in terms of aesthetics. So, but sometimes you just gotta go rogue. Yeah, okay, so those are my garments that I'm working on right now. I did also cast on another project that was in my spring knitting plans, and that is the, oh no, what? Like dropped a bunch of stitches and my needle got stuck into other stitches. Weird. This is not right, but okay. Maybe it is. Anyways, this is why you should finish your row and use needle stoppers. I don't do either of those things. So this is La Bandana by Amy Gillet of La Bien-Aimée. And the colorway is, I believe, a one-off. It's similar to some of their other colorways they have. The base is Alex. But yeah, I essentially won a knit along, the Insta Friends Cal last year, and got 3 skeins of La Bien-Aimée yarn, and this was one of them. And I just thought the colors were so pretty. I wanted to show it off in a simple stockinette pattern, and this pattern was written specifically for this yarn, or I think Felix yarn, which is another one of their bases. And so I thought, you know what, I can't go wrong. And I'm loving it so far. You hold the yarn double, which is nice because it is a lace weight. And like I mentioned, I'm not trying to knit lace weight held single, which, so it gives you a sport weight like yarn when you hold them together. And I think because I'm holding them together, I'm really getting a nice variation in the colors and not getting a ton of color pooling. Like everything looks really beautiful and even. I haven't gotten a ton of progress on this in the last couple weeks, or last 1 week really, but it is my car knitting, so I'm just gonna be making slow and steady progress on this through spring, I think. But every time I pull it out, it makes me so happy because the colors are so happy. And yeah, that is this project, La Bandana. And so essentially you start on one end and you increase up to a point and then you start decreasing. So it's nice because you can use up as much yarn as you would like to from your skein, and you just make it like a little bigger. I'm curious to see like how big it will get if I do try to use the full skein, because I do want it to be more of like a scarf bandana than like a mini shawl. I just think that a scarf / bandana is more wearable for me, or more my style. So that is that. And then my last work in progress, this is a cast on for the Marchmaker Madness, again hosted by Woolberry Fiber, or Woolberry, what am I saying that wrong? Woolberry Yarns, Woolberry Company. Just gonna say Woolberry. But the challenge for this week is for our team of 5 to submit 5 finished projects that we start, like we started yesterday, and we need to submit the projects by next Monday, by Monday. And the catch is that it has to be 1 knitting project, 1 crochet project, 1 weaving project, 1 needlework project, and 1 spinning project. So some of our brave team members are taking on like new to them crafts, and I've seen some progress photos and they're looking really great. So thank you, Elizabeth and Danielle, for taking the weaving and the needlework on. But I ended up getting knitting, which is a relief because that is what I mostly do. I have a spinning wheel that I have not started to use yet. I don't know how to spin, and I can theoretically embroider. Haven't done it much or in a long time. I can crochet. I do know how to crochet and I'm pretty comfortable. I don't do it much though. And I've never woven, so I get to knit. So happy about that. But I decided to cast on something that has been in my queue for a while. So if you've been around for a while, you might be aware that I've been wanting to knit this, and it is the Good Bear by Susan B. Anderson. And I've knit the Good Bunny by the same designer, and it is a excellent, like, maybe not like, don't knit this as the first pattern you ever knit, but a great beginner stuffed animal pattern. It's designed to be knit on double pointed needles. I'm obviously not knitting it on double pointed needles. I've changed the pattern to magic loop. I don't mind double pointed needles, but I just thought magic loop might be a little faster for me. But yeah, it's a really good beginner pattern because it's seamless. Mostly seamless. The only seams you do are at the bottom of the feet to close the cast on, and then at the like join of the legs to close up just the gap that forms there naturally. And then you just kind of continuously knit up from the legs up through the body. You make little markers with purl bumps when you're knitting to mark where you'll pick up yarn or pick up stitches for the arms, as well as the tail on the little bear, which is cute, and for the ears as well. And you actually knit the head like a little like heel gusset on a sock, which is like just a really smart construction and not one that I ever would have thought of. But yeah, so I've been wanting to knit this with scrap yarn, and this was the perfect opportunity. It comes with, like, the pattern comes with the directions for the bear, or if you buy the bunny pattern, it's the instructions for the bunny. I have both, and a full little outfit that they can wear. So I am not going to show you all the yarn that I have for the clothes. It's all scrap yarn. I'll put a picture up. But it's such a fun way to use up like your little scraps because it doesn't take very much. I think like most of the clothes take like 5 grams or, you know, anywhere from like 3 to 7 grams, I think. You're supposed to knit in sport weight. I'm not doing that. I have this Swan's Island Natural Colors Fingering Collection in the color Iron Oxide. I've knit 2 baby bear bonnets by Knitting for Olive in this yarn combined with this Drops Kid Silk mohair in the color Chocolate. And so together they're giving this really beautiful, like natural variegated fabric. And I really think the mohair just like ties all the different like colors of brown that are in the other yarn together and like fuzzes everything out. I have made some modifications because, I don't know. The first one is to change it to magic loop. The second was I dropped down a needle size because I was a little bit worried that my gauge might be gapy if since I'm doing a light fingering weight held with a lace weight. I wasn't sure if that would quite get me up to the sport, but I'm definitely liking the like fabric the smaller needle size is creating. So I'm using a 3.25 millimeter needle to knit the body of the bear, or well, the full bear. The other modification I did, which is completely unnecessary, but I just wanted to do it, was I cast on the legs to knit 2 at a time. I guess there is a reason for this. When I knit the bunny, I did it as the pattern suggested, which is knit 1 leg and then knit the other leg. And I knit, I think, one row longer than the other one, just on accident. So no one would be able to tell, but I can totally tell that one of the bunny's legs is longer than the other. So this time I was like, I'm gonna knit them 2 at a time so that I just know that they'll be the same length, which worked. They're the same length. And the other thing I did was, instead of just casting on a normal cast on and joining on in the round, I did a Judy's Magic cast on for both of the feet. I just like that a little better because then there's no seam or anything here. It's just like a nice continuous join, and makes it just a little bit softer. You do not need to do that, but if you know how to do Judy's Magic cast on, it gives just like a even more seamless look to your bear's legs or your bunny's legs. But yeah, I'm like starting to do the body decreases. I need to like actually go in and stuff the bear at this point, because you have to stuff it as you go along since there's no seaming. And I was supposed to stuff the legs a while ago and I didn't because I was lazy. But yes, I am hoping to finish the full bear and all the full wardrobe by the deadline. I feel like it's like a small enough project that I know I can do it, and like a impressive enough project once you have all the clothes that it'll be like, look, a bear and a whole wardrobe. I've gotten way too into the March Maker Madness, but it is really fun, and it's fun to see what all the other teams are doing as well. So that is my bear. And my watch is beeping at me. What time is it? Oh God, I need to go. I have to go pick up my child from daycare. Okay, that was my last whip. Wow, I've been filming for so long. Okay, panic. I bought yarn too, and I'm just gonna show you really quick. I, at my local yarn shop, bought Woolfolk Får, not on sale, which is like really hard for me. I normally only buy like yarn on sale there. But Joel has been bothering me to make a hat for him, a Jason's Cashmere hat, and because he lost his. And after I made mine and the new babies, I thought it would be so cute to make one for him and then a matching one for Elliot with the leftovers. So I got the color 32. So this will become a hat. I bought it because his birthday is coming up in April. Well, it's almost April. And I'm gonna give him the yarn for his birthday and tell him that I will knit the hat. I'm not planning on knitting it before the birthday. Although, I don't know, maybe I'll get a bee on my bonnet. Next I have these 6, sorry for the plastic, I have these 6 balls of yarn that I am going to use. This is Holst Garn Coast. I don't know how to show you all of them all at once. I'll just do one at a time. This is the color Amber. This one is Citrus. This one is California Blue. We have Mushroom and Ecru and Meadow. So my plan for this is to cast on the Holger baby sweater by Petite Knit. I'm gonna do the smallest size because the Petite Knit patterns always end up way bigger than I think that they should be for the size that it says. But these are gonna be the stripe colors for the body, and this will be the color of the pants, and then these are gonna be the sleeves, and this is the collar. So I think they're super cute. I'm really excited to cast that on. Do I already have 5 whips? Yes. Am I gonna cast this one on anyways? Yes.